1973 doesn't try to figure music out anymore. It assumes you're paying attention. Because by now, the question isn't what works, it's who's in control. And before we get into this, if you're into the stories behind these songs, the ones most people never hear, stick with me on this one. Because 1973 isn't about hits, it's about decisions that changed how music gets made. Let me ask you something. When you hear a song that feels smooth, effortless even, do you ever stop and think about how much control it actually took to make it sound that way? Take Marvin Gaye. Let's get it on. On the surface, it sounds like a shift. More sensual, more direct. But do you know where this song actually started? Not as a love song. It began as something more spiritual, almost philosophical. Marvin was still coming off What's Going On, and the label wanted something different this time. Something more accessible. Something that would sell. So instead of fighting that, he redirected it. He kept control of the production, and more importantly, he controlled the feel. Listen to the bass line. It doesn't rush. It doesn't try to impress you. It sits. Everything in that track is designed to pull you in, not push energy at you. And here's the question. Is that more powerful than a loud performance? Because in 1973, artists are starting to realize it is. Now let's flip that. What happens when an artist doesn't just control the feel, but controls everything? Stevie Wonder, Inner Visions, specifically Higher Ground. Do you know how that track was built? Layer by layer. Stevie isn't just singing. He's playing the drums. He's working the clavinet. He's building sounds manually using early synth setups that didn't have presets. No shortcuts. Every tone had to be patched, adjusted, tested. So let me ask you, when you hear that groove, do you think of it as a song or as something engineered from the ground up? Because that's what it is. And here's where it gets eerie. The song is about cycles, about falling and coming back. It's released. And then Stevie Wonder is involved in a near-fatal car accident. After that, people start hearing the song differently, like it meant more than it was supposed to. Do you think that changes how people connect to it? Now here's a different question. What happens when a song feels casual, but is actually calculated? Steve Miller, The Joker. You ever notice how relaxed that track feels? Like it just showed up that way? It didn't. That bass line carries everything. Simple, repetitive, but locked in. And then there's the lyrics. Some of those lines, they're pulled from earlier songs, reused on purpose. So now you're not just hearing a hit, you're hearing an identity being built. That's the difference. 1973 isn't about writing one good song. It's about building something that lasts across multiple records. Now let's go somewhere heavier. What does control sound like when it comes through pressure? ZZ Top, LaGrange. That riff feels raw, right? Loose, almost like it just happened. But it didn't. Billy Gibbons simplifies the structure on purpose, strips it down to its core. Because the power isn't in complexity, it's in repetition. Now here's something most people don't realize. That song later gets pulled into legal issues over similarities to John Lee Hooker's Boogie Chillin'. So now ask yourself, where's the line between influence and ownership? Because in the early 70s, that line starts getting tested. Hard. Now let's change the energy completely. Gladys Knight and the Pips. Midnight Train to Georgia. You ever hear a song where the backing vocals feel just as important as the lead? That's not accidental. This song already existed before Gladys Knight recorded it. But when she takes it on, something changes. The Pips aren't just supporting her, they're responding. It becomes a conversation. Now think about that. How often does a song feel like dialogue instead of performance? Because that's what makes this one stand out. Now let me ask you something different. What happens when a song doesn't succeed? Until later? Aerosmith, Dream On. When it first comes out, nothing. Doesn't hit, doesn't move. But Steven Tyler writes it differently than most rock songs. On piano, not guitar. That's why it builds the way it does. Slow, layered. Now here's the part most people don't know. That high vocal at the end, he wasn't confident he could hit it consistently. There was hesitation about keeping it, but they leave it in. And years later, when the song is re-released, that becomes the moment everyone remembers. So let me ask you, how many songs fail the first time? Just because timing wasn't right? Now something quieter, something controlled. The Rolling Stones, Angie. There's always speculation about who it's about, and the band never fully confirms it. But listen to how it's delivered. Acoustic-driven, minimal arrangement. Mick Jagger holds back. That's the key, because when you don't push, the weight shifts to the words. Now ask yourself, is restraint harder than intensity? Because in 1973, more artists start choosing restraint. Now step back for a second. Look at all of this together. What are you actually hearing? You're hearing artists ask, do I control the sound? Do I control the message? Do I control how this is released? And sometimes, they're still fighting for that control. But more often than not, they're starting to win. 1,973 isn't chaotic. It's deliberate. Songs are tighter. Production is cleaner. And artists are thinking beyond the moment. They're thinking about identity, longevity, control, and that's the shift. Because once artists realize they can control the process, they don't give that up. So when you hear these songs now, knowing what went into them, does it change how you listen? Does it make you hear intention where you didn't before? If it does, drop that in the comments. I want to know which one hit differently for you. And if you're just here to sit back, take it all in, and let the music settle in the background, relax and spark one up. Keep that turntable spinning.